So, with no end in sight to the political stalemate, the two major parties are on their best behaviour, trying to impress the independent kingmakers. But how long can it last? Dr. Economou is a senior lecturer in politics at Monash University. He's also the author of Australian Politics for Dummies.
Well, I would imagine that it would last probably until as long as the House of Representatives is called and the business of government begins. And what will happen before the House of Representatives is convened, will be that one or other of the major parties will finalise an agreement with the crossbenchers. They will become the government, there will be an opposition, and the usual Westminster style of adversarial parliamentary politics will be resumed.
So once the outcome of the election is known, normal service, if you like, will be resumed, and we'll once again be watching all that familiar political argy-bargy.
Look, I think we will in the long term. Now, there will be, of course, some differences. The government will be a minority government. It won't have the ability to dominate the proceedings of the lower house the way that it has done in the past. So I think we will see some attempt at reform, and we will see, especially in the early stages, I'm sure, a level of decorum and reasonableness and fairness that we haven't seen in the House of Representatives for a long time. But the basic premise of an adversarial parliamentary system will be maintained. And remember too that the Australian Parliament is an institution that involves two houses, the House of Reps and the Senate. Very rarely do governments control the upper house, so we've always had an element of negotiation, dialogue and bargaining in the legislative process. So what we'll see is the practice of consultation that's always gone on in the Senate will probably be applied in the lower house as well.
Now, many commentators are saying that this election shows voter disenchantment with both major political parties, but is it actually much more mundane than that? We're simply in this situation where equal numbers of people voted for the coalition and for Labor. It's just a close election, isn't it, rather than a turning point, as some people have said in Australian politics?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, I would agree with that. It is just simply one of those moments in Australian electoral history where you've got a very close result. I've heard the rhetoric from the independents and from the Greens about disillusionment with the major parties. I think the Green argument is probably stronger than that of the independents. The Greens can point to quite a substantial swing, garnered mainly from disillusioned Labor voters, although there's a fair element of disillusioned Liberal voters joining in as well. But the independents account for only 2.5% of the national vote. The other 97.5% of Australians who voted in this election voted Labor, Liberal, National and Green. So I think that the claim that people are disillusioned with party politics is not sustained by the evidence, not sustained by the electoral data.
Economou, thank you.
My pleasure.